Hey guys, welcome back to another pistol video. On this one, we are on the dark side. Apologies to the guys who follow my channel for the high kappa content. But for this particular video, we're going to have a look at the AAP. We're going to look at the blowback housing in particular on this AAP. It's worth a bit of a a watch, I would imagine, because we're going to talk about a few things like physics and that kind of cool stuff. And we're going to look at some shiny parts as well. So let's get straight into it. Let's not waste any of your time. So this is the AAP. It's known for having an absolutely crazy rate of fire anyway. If you flip it into auto and you pull the trigger, it just goes brrr anyway. And I see a lot of people posting on Facebook, giving it all that, oh my god, you need to try these. Look, I've got the Waldo springs and I've got the Waldo buff kits and it does like 28,000 million rounds per second. Yeah, that's cool, but I kind of don't like that approach. When you look at some of the groups and some of the actual builders, they tend to use the upgraded blowback housings. So that's what I intended to do. I'm going to do an upgraded blowback housing. Now the problem with that is one of these blowback housings, if I were to buy it from the UK, from a UK seller, someone like eBog, is 60 quid plus postage. Which for a BBU, that's about twice what you'd pay for a high kappa one, which makes this £65 gun very expensive. So I did what most people do. I checked all the online Hong Kong stores, and they had the same cow blowback housings for about £42 plus 10 quid postage. So still 50 quid. So a little bit more digging around. Obviously there are other brands from Cow. There's CTM and there's somebody else who I can't remember at the moment. CNC Tac, I think. But then I came across this one. This is a 5KU blowback housing. Now, 5KU stuff I have seen and I've got a few parts of on my high kappa, and they work really well. They're cheaper. They're on the cheaper end. You know, it's not like an AM kind of fitment, but they do work pretty well. They've got a pretty good quality to them. So I found this. This is the 5KU aluminium BBU for the AAP01. This was £22 from 6mil.com. So I got this, and a magwell, and a pretty spring, delivered for less than what I could have got just the Cow BBU from Hong Kong anyway. So I thought, why the hell not? So let's do it. Let's build this bad boy up. So we're going to quickly strip it down. This isn't really going to be a tutorial on how to strip an AAP apart, because I'm kind of hoping that you kind of know how to do that, or you kind of can watch another video. YHack is pretty good for that. He does some really good strip down videos. I can't even think of anybody else who does these. I don't really watch too much AAP content, if I'm honest. I'm just kind of taking the things I've learned from high kappas and I'm applying them to this. So why am I doing the blowback housing? So it's all very well having 1,001 rounds per second, but this bolt is heavy. Okay, it's quite a heavy, chunky piece of kit. And that force going backwards and forwards is quite a solid piece of steel. It's going to have an impact on your frame. So you swap to something light, less kind of kinetic energy, less inertia, less impact. Plus it's faster. So speed isn't an issue. I'm going to play semi-only. CQB gun. Not going to run around going brrr, like some kind of weird SMG monster. It is just a CQB gun. So let's get these bits swapped over. So I'm going to move these out the way a little bit, and we'll look at parts as we go. So this is the kind of the guide rod, if you like, and the spring, which goes with that. So I'm going to pop those over there, out the way. That's out, and then I need to get a screwdriver. A little bit fingers and thumbs, because I've never done an AAP strip like this before. So we're on a learning journey together, guys. So I'm going to pull that apart. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to lube as we go. So you can get a replacement pretty much everything for these AAPs now. When I first did my first AAP, there wasn't a lot of spares. It was one of those things where nozzle springs were only just starting to come out. So you used to use a high kappa nozzle spring. It's not the case anymore. Wow, they're long. So a couple of those. Hadron do some nice replacement ones of those. And then we'll move that out. So that's that plastic jobber. Whoop, nozzle spring, nozzle. And there you can see I've got a piston head on there. So I'm going to... Ow. That's going to be a pain, isn't it? That's not going to come out. I need to get something non-destructive underneath that to pull it out. We'll carry on and we'll take this off. That screw wasn't massively tight. Now, I've never taken one of these apart before. I don't know how many. It's probably going to fire across the room into about 89,000 parts as it goes. Screw out. Come on. Oh, God. Oh, that's not actually that bad. I know it was kind of like that. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, that sits on the rail. So let's get the new one. Let's start lubing up as we build. So I probably don't need this bit of lube on here, but I'm going to put it on anyway, just because I can. That's cool. That's the switchy flicky bit. I'm going to guess that that goes there, and that goes into full auto mode there. Yep, that's quite tight. We'll tighten that back up just there. So again, I'm not really too bothered if this doesn't work, as long as it stays in semi mode. Don't really care too much. Click. Oh, we've got solid click mechanism, so that's cool. So that's in semi mode, and I'm just going to tighten that screw down. It is an aluminium, so you can't like go absolutely mad dogging it down because it'll just strip itself out. And it is cheap, but the weight difference is humongous between these two guys. So I need to find a non-destructive way of taking that out, so I'm going to gently prise it with the back of an Allen key. Oh, there we go. Off you come. That's about done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that this screw in here is tight enough. Going to get that piston head. Just massage it outwards a little bit, clean some of the gunk off it. Give it a bit of a pushy push out. And I think the flat bit was at the top. The flat bit was there. Flat bit needs to be there. Yeah, cool. And we'll just drop it back. Whoop, that's not quite level. Just not quite got that in straight there, as you can see. Whoop, I'm going to have a real nightmare getting that in level now, aren't I? Oh, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. The nozzle will line it up, I guess. Ah, there we go. We're in. Cool. Right, so that's kind of the bulk of it done. Put that big bad boy to one side. Right. Something else I'm going to do while I'm in here is I'm going to knock this pin out and I'm going to swap it over. So this is the nozzle spring, or no, it's not the nozzle spring, it's the nozzle return spring. So you just push that locking pin out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on it this way up. So that comes out that way. Oh. That comes out, put that down. So that spring is swapping for this nice cow one. And the reason for that is these stock springs are notorious for being quite inconsistent and being a bit all over the place. So you swap it out for a good quality one. So I couldn't find a good quality one, so I've gone for a cow. Just ease that down the cap there. We'll drop that back in there. I think it went that way up. Yep. So look at that. And what that does is that's a consistency mod. That's not a FPS or a performance mod. I mean, strictly speaking, depending on how good that spring is, may get some performance out of it. Or so the general with that is, if it is softer, then more gas will go through for a press. If it's stiffer, then less gas will go through. So kind of it's to do with a little bit of your efficiency. Push that in there. Okay, so the nozzle valve spring has been swapped. I'd love to say consistent, but I can't feel it. You wouldn't be able to feel the difference anyway. What next? Let's put this in. So, nozzle. So, tiny lick of oil on the edge of the nozzle there. Little finger, just bosh it round, and that just pulls the seal on the piston head, which goes that way up, I believe. Yep. Nice and easy. Next step, we want the nozzle spring. Now, why have I gone for CTM ones? They were a pack. They both came together. I bought them from Airsoft World. Kind of had my eye on these for a little while. Wanted to pick them up. So we've gone with it. Ooh, that's a tight fit on there. It is on. Very tight fit. Very tight fit. But it's a tight fit, not a don't fit. Got no idea where that spring goes. Up the side there. There we go. Oh yeah, tight, tight, tight. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so get a jobber and start screwing all that in. Please go in. Please go in. It's always a praying mission not to thread these things when you're putting them in. Also, can't remember how deep they're. Obviously, with this being a new BBU housing as well, you've got to be, you know, it's kind of freshly anodized. You don't know what paint needs rubbing off or whatever of it. So I kind of don't want to force anything or don't want to over tighten anything. Wow. That is so much tighter. That's a 200% nozzle spring, and that is, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that's definitely more boingy than what the old one was. The old one was just like a floppy flopper. That's tight. So next one is going to be recoil spring. So that's this bit, and that just kind of like goes whoop whoop in and clicks in. Not too sure how it clicks in hindsight. Just slots in, I suppose. Yep, it does. So recoil spring, faster one, obviously it goes better. However, I've also got these. These are 3D printed short strokes. So yes, when I first did this video, I was like, got some short strokes in. So no, they're not rubber. I've gone for solid 3D printed plastic. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually only putting them in just to reduce a bit of the strain. So in my mind, metal clanking on metal, bad thing. However, metal clanking on plastic, not so bad a thing. So we'll drop one of those in. Boink. Only one. Doesn't need a lot. Upgraded recoil spring. And wow, yeah, that's really tight. That's going to be a monster. And we're in. We can test that. Yeah, boy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull that forward just a touch. Just going to do a deep dab of oil just to kind of help that on its way. Boom. And that is done, Barry. So, drop it back in. I did test fit this into the receiver earlier, and it fits absolutely lovely. Now, what I didn't do, though, I didn't remove that from there, which I should have done. So that's in there. We're going to drop that back in there. Whoop. And then we'll drop that onto here. So this is just kind of standard rebuild now. I do have some more fibre I'm going to swap these out for because I prefer green on the front and red on the back. I just find it easier to acquire like that. I'm going to have to look into getting some kind of front rail set up to put the torch on it. I played my first CQB game with a torch about a week or two ago, and I didn't realise what a game changer a torch actually is. Obviously, you can't out people by shining a torch at them, but it absolutely shits them up into next year. Well worth it. So my little cheap Sotac torch did well. And these screws, you don't do these screws tight because otherwise they bind on the BBU. Oh my god, that is like boom. I'm getting a really good seal there, if you can see that. Probably see it better from here, look. That is incredible. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to daub a tiny bit of oil here, 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 there. And then I'm going to flip it over, clip it together. And there we have it. Last part I'm going to put in today, so I'm going to put those spare spaces off to one side. So I could put more spaces in if I wanted to. I could actually take it so that the lockback stops working, which it does work at the moment. So I think the next one would actually fix that. I don't really need it to not lock back though. And I'm quite happy with that. And then this last one is a cosmetic upgrade. So the lockback not working, that is just, I mean, it's going to be fast enough anyway. You don't have to short stroke it within an inch of its life. The lockback is not going to be functional anyway because I'm going to be using a HPA mag. Then I might stroke it out if at a later date. This again is a 5KU part. This is I think this is the number 2 version. And again, I've used 5KU parts on my capper, and that fits pretty nicely on there. In fact, that fitted far too well on there. It didn't fit that well when I test fitted it earlier on there, so clearly I did something wrong when I test fitted it. There we go. And that's a single piece. That's not like a 2-piece, like bit up and bolt to bolt. It is just a single piece. And there we go. Look at that. That's beautiful. And then we'll just get that mag. Mag locks in. Absolutely fine. Nice. So looking at that there, you can just about make out that the nozzle quite, it easily clears that. I think if I were to put the other thicker spacer in, it might just be a bit close for comfort. But that is super nice now. Very happy with that. Hold that down. Yeah. I think I need some HPA for that. Someone get me some HPA. So there we go. That was an AAP upper build done relatively quickly. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Drop me a like, drop me a comment if you like what I'm doing with it, drop me a sub. There is going to be some high cap content, there is some gameplay video content coming, and keep an eye out for the next one. Thank you very much, and I will catch you guys in the next one.